back to Estate Agency Mastery, Season 3, Episode 7. I'm joined by Kate the Agent. Kate, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
If people don't know who you are, they've been living under a rock, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, who am I? Who is Kate? I'm Kate Brookfield, and 2 years ago, I decided to quit high street estate agency and pursue a career where I use social media led marketing. So I had to become comfortable in calling myself a social media estate agent. That is how I identify these days.
So there's a lot in that already. You don't dress like an estate agent.
Oh no, absolutely not. But that was always something that I felt. I had a very strong feeling, even when I was working within the sort of more generic estate agency world, because I could see how people treated estate agents. In the areas where I worked, it was very easy to identify the estate agents as they walked up the street. And I never wanted someone to see me walking around and say, she's an estate agent, because I don't think I think like one, or that I particularly act like one. It's the world where I operate, of course, and it's the job that I love and it's what I do, and I'm very passionate, but I feel like I approach it in a very different mindset. And unfortunately, for many years through high street and corporate estate agency, the focus has very much been on money, transaction levels, and actually not about the client experience, the buyer's experiences. It's a very emotional place to work, and I think you have to be very attuned to that.
And I don't think the public have any idea of how hard being an agent is.
No, of course. I think that's one of the wonderful things about social media, is that it is a window, if used well.
Yeah.
It's lifting that lid, opening the bonnet, building that in that transparency that you don't get by walking into a high street agency shop. And of course, across the high streets, there are local companies who are real local estate agents, and they've, gone through the hardships and worked the test of time, and maybe the family has taken it on generation after generation. And I really like and respect those businesses. They generally don't turn over the staff. You build relationships with your clients, and particularly in the rental world and lettings. It's not so. I used to say it was very much like, caveman in sales. You go in and hunter-gatherer, you shoot your score and you get out, and then you never see that client ever again. Where in lettings and people that hold properties, investments, portfolios, that relationship can be 20, 30 years long. And you have to be more invested from an emotional standpoint with those clients. And I think if you've been working in rentals and you've been doing it for a long time, actually that transition into sales brings a whole new dynamic that maybe somebody who has only focused purely on sales working through the corporate agencies may not have had, because the focus is very different in sales teams versus rental teams. The client relationships are very, very different. I worked in rentals for a very, very, very long time. So I feel that I have transferred skills that I can see that some sales agents maybe haven't honed in on, or felt that they've needed over the years.
Makes sense. Okay, so you've touched on a lot there. The worst thing, I think, is when you drive to a new town and as you're driving down the road, you go, that's an estate agent, right? It's that shit shiny suit from Next, which I cannot stand, right? You choose to dress very funky, quite, I guess, what works in your area, right? And I always say you've got to dress to impress, and that doesn't mean you've got to wear a $4,000 suit, but you've got to feel comfortable in it, and people have got to respect you and not see you as that standard agent, which I think is huge. So this series is all about taking the leap to that self-employment. So I want to start on dress. Do you cut the suits up? You're quite a stylish person. How did you put your personality into your day to day? Was it an easy thing? And if there's an agent watching this and they're maybe thinking, oh, I don't know if I could put the Adidas on, or you have some cool Adidas shoes or what have you, what would you say to them?
I think it's hard, because I think we all say, oh, the shit neck suit. I think the difficulty is that, young negotiators that go into work in corporate agencies are given a very sort of direct command of you must dress like this. And so they go out and they buy what they can afford and they start rolling with it. And there's not very many environments out there still, unfortunately, that understand that as the world has changed and, after COVID and work from home, that the people in most other industries, apart from estate agencies, seem to have moved on leaps and bounds away from corporate fussiness. Um, so I think I feel a bit sorry, unfortunately, for those agents that I see running in and out of certain high street agents, all wearing the same suits. And I think just wear a slight, if you can, bring your personality through by your tie or a cool pair of socks. People will remember it. Do whatever you can, but unfortunately, in many instances, those guys and girls haven't got that opportunity because they're pulled back constantly. And that's something I struggled with for many years. Even though I worked in an environment where there was a dress code, I struggled to fit in those boxes. And I did work my way up. I was able to be at a level where I could be a little bit more expressive with what I was wearing. But it's important to get up every day and feel a sense of authenticity. Um, and I guess if you're out there and you're thinking, if you want to go into self-employment, and it's a bit like, well, what if I'm not wearing the suit? What do I do? You just be yourself.
Mm.
No one employed someone because of the suit. No one employed someone because of the pencil skirt or the shoes or anything like that. They will employ you if they like you. So just feel frankly, you could wear a pair of pajamas these days and go out and win an instruction. Just experiment. Everything works. There is no rule book anymore when you work for yourself.
That's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Well, it is powerful because that is what truly gives people confidence to be themselves. That's what gave me confidence. I'm a creative person. I worked in a not so creative world for a long time, and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed to bring my creativity through. And the only way I could really do that was with what I was wearing for most of the time, because I had no control over the marketing. I was trying to do the social media, but the minute I unshackled myself from that world, I was able to be completely, truly myself, and all my creativity just came straight up to the surface, and I was able to go. And that is why what we do now and how we do it is so powerful.
And do you think the way you dress resonates more with your clients and other agents?
Maybe. Would you believe me if I say I don't actually think about it that much? I like what I wear. It makes me happy.
Mm.
I'm not really thinking about other people. And yes, through social media, I get a lot of people ask me questions about what I'm wearing. Will you do a page on your outfits? There are millions and millions and millions of fashion, YouTubers, Instagrammers out there. And it's nice that people like what I'm wearing or feel inspired by it. It's not the core of what I do. I'd rather people be inspired by the way that I'm hopefully helping to shape and change the industry. Images is important, of course. Of course it's important, but there are lots of very fashionable people out there,
So I guess the image is the start point for the self-employed agent. But if we're watching this now and been watching the series and going, right, I want to do it in 2026. I like what the other guests have said, Sean, Ollie, Kenny, etc. I like what Kate's turned up with and said about, just doing it for yourself and feeling good and being authentic. What else should I be thinking about? What should I be, what challenges did you come up against 2 years ago that you want to warn the viewers about, or say, get ahead of this?
Fear, always fear. All of us have come from a space where we have had stable, comfortable incomes. Fear will hold you back, but it can also be your biggest driver. You have to just learn to let go and
I
and enjoy it.
So I always say if your excitement is about 70% and your fear is about 30%, that's the right mix. If your fear's close to 50, maybe it's not the right time for you. Now, I'm not saying I'm right with that, but I think there has to be a bit of fear to fire you up, like you say. How did you get over that fear or use that fear as fuel?
I think on that basis, I think the older you get, And the more life responsibility that you acquire, family, mortgage, and so on, I think that that ratio is going to change. So I think your fear's going to get closer to that 50%. But you've just got to ask yourself a question, as I had to ask myself very, very honestly: am I prepared to sit here for another 25, 30 years in my career and be this unhappy? And I have children who look at me, and I have a responsibility to my family to be happy, and for my children to see me thriving, being creative, being authentic, and being happy. So I think looking at it in that respect allowed me to say, whatever the fear is, it is it's no worse than actually not doing this. And if it doesn't work, I know I'm capable of going out and getting another job.
100%. So there's two things there. I call it the 45-day rule, where within 45 days of going self-employed, you can look in the whites of each other's eyes and know if it's going to work or not. So the worst thing really that happens is you go and get another job within 3 months. The best thing is you go and create something that your children, your peers can
Yep.
see you go on a journey with, and you set that example. Because the big thing for me is I hear people go, oh, I don't have the money, or I can't quite do it. And I'm like, or do you not want it enough? But it's the lessons you're teaching your kids by inactivity of not taking that risk. And I appreciate it isn't for everyone, but if you've got it in you, I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not trying. Certainly in this day and age where there's brokerages, there's financial support, whatever it is. Doing this 5 years ago, 10 years ago was crazy. Doing it now when there's a chosen path in front of you, and I don't care what brokerage it is, but there's great agents at all different brokerages that can share. Listen, if you go and do this, you will be successful. It's easier to do now than ever, but I think often it's fear that holds people back, but it's a fake fear, it's a false fear. What would you say to that?
Well, it's the fear of the unknown. I think, again, with social media and more agents like myself who are putting it all out there, hopefully that will be the inspiration that allows more people to see it. And, and again, smoke and mirrors. There are definitely some people who are using social media, and, someone like, I think with me, I don't try and hide anything. It's all there. Um, there are, the selling sunset vibes, unfortunately, where again, sorry, like smoke and mirrors. But you've got someone like Oliver Howard, who you've had as a guest, who is so incredibly honest, and that's powerful. It's so powerful because, again, you're just open. You're lifting up the lid. You're able to see the mechanics and how this works, and the trials and tribulations, and the wins and the excitement. So, yes, fear is false. We all have it. And don't ever think that if you see somebody who is successful at this, that there aren't days when we wake up and there's still fear. Anything can change in a day. So we're all acutely aware of that. But what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is to sit in that fishbowl office and work your bum off for the benefit of somebody else and feel creatively stifled and have KPIs and all that boring corporate jargon. I took 5 weeks off last summer to spend time with my kids. It wasn't ever part of my sort of, plan to say, I never ever want to have to ask somebody to spend time with my kids. But that's the other part of it as a parent. I don't have to ask permission to turn up for my children. I've created a world and a job that works around my family. And yeah, I might be working all the hours, but it's definitely worth it.
100%. You touched on something there that you said sometimes you still wake up, and I fully get that with fear. I woke up and had an awful morning this morning because of something I fucked up on yesterday, and it haunted me all night. How do you get yourself? What coping mechanisms do you have to get yourself out of that fear, or if you've had a bad day as an agent, what do you do?
I've definitely learned a lot about myself through going out on my own. I've had to learn to have confidence in my skills and my ability to move through challenging times, days, calls, whatever it is. And to know that my perception of it is always exaggerated because we are our own worst critics. And I've also had to learn to cut the noise out. you know, I've learned not to compare myself to other people. Something that maybe the older version of me would have been more inclined to do. And if I'd asked the older version of me, if you went off and did this and became this like personal brand, would you compare yourself to other people? And I probably would have said, oh yes, every day. I'd probably be looking, well, what are they doing? Or why aren't I doing that? And I've woken up a few times in the last few months where I've felt like I haven't been doing things adequately or I've not doing enough. But it lasts about a day and then you just learn to pull up your pants. Is that that saying? Like, whatever it is, just like get on with it. Just get on with it. No one else is gonna.
No one's going to save you.
No one's gonna save you. Again, that's a really very cool thing to learn about yourself. I mean, I started this when I was 40, right? I thought by the age of 40, I kind of would have learned my full personality, but I didn't. I learned way more about myself doing this now.
I think it's the most introspective thing you can do is go and run your own business.
Yeah, I'm still not perfect at it.
No, it's a continuous improvement piece,
Oh,
and you never get there. There's no finish line.
anyone that says I'm perfect, I know everything, I think they need to, they probably need to go for some therapy.
Well, they won't be listening to this podcast.
No,
No, I know what you mean, though.
it's important as an entrepreneur, um, particularly in this world where all eyes are on you and it's personal brand. It's really important to allow yourself to continue to learn and analyze, but really also incredibly important not to be very, very hard on yourself.
Okay. Why?
Because what's the point of you have a finite amount of energy in your day, particularly if you're a parent. When I go home, I have to try and have a boundary where my energy then has to go to being a mum. And there's always blurred lines, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're a business owner, there's never an off switch. But there's no in that time where I can focus purely on my work. What is the point of throwing my good energy after bad thought processes? Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
What's really interesting, everyone I've interviewed so far on this podcast um, has talked about remaining in gratitude or in a state of positivity. And I think you have 80,000 unconscious thoughts a day, right? And if they are all repeating the negativity of the day before, it doesn't bode well for happiness and a great business, right? So how do you do that though? How have you taught yourself? Is it books, podcasts? Is it just getting to know yourself more?
Um, I mean, like, I'm a sucker for, the manifestation, all of that. I mean, I watch a lot of content on it. I don't get a lot of time to read books. Um, I don't know. I think I'm incredibly grateful for the clients who like my work and who reach out and want to use me. Every time I get one of those messages, it reminds me that I'm doing something right and it's okay and everything's going to be okay. I don't think I've really got any formula for it. I think it's something that you gradually learn through how you choose to allocate your energy. Because that's, to me, that's all the same. Energy and thought processes, that kind of sits in the same box for me.
I'm going to move away slightly now to really practical stuff because I think the mindset piece is what we're going to discuss in series 4. So now, if you're watching this, and I think this is episode 7, right? We'll have gone through. People have got here and gone, right. Kate's really inspired me. She wears what she wants. She does it her own way. She talked a lot about the practicalities of keeping your mind correct. What should we be doing on a daily basis to grow our business if we're to switch gears?
So I don't come from a very corporate background, which I started in a boutique agency. I worked for 2 sisters. It was my first job. It was very accidental. Actually, I don't know many people that wake up. Maybe nowadays, like where it's all like looks a bit cooler and I could be an estate agent and sell homes on Instagram. Back in the day, no one really woke up and said, "Do you know what? Today I'm going to be an estate agent." It kind of happens for people and certain types of people um, who are typically can't stay in one place for too long. and really great with people and feed on adrenaline. So with that, some of the most successful estate agents I know are just powerful people. Your best tool is your personality and your ability to connect with people around you. That above everything else. I never did door knocking, canvassing, I did a bit in like when I was working in more high street agency, but that just not is not something that I do as an agent. Because I feel that I've hopefully built an awareness around what I do with the content that if you like it, they're going to come and ask me a question and they'll start a conversation with me about it. And that's the connection, whether they want to sell their home that week or in 2 years. It's about you have to put yourself out in front of people. I don't think people really take kindly to being badgered, unsolicited, door knocking. It's a bit ick, I think.
So,
If
so on that though, because you've said it, and I'm thinking it comes so naturally to you, right? There are people that will be world-class agents, but they have good personalities, but don't know how to hone into them or tap into them, or where would I even start? How would I get my first video? What would I do? What would you say to them, and what practical steps would you share with them?
You've got to start being comfortable in front of the camera. And don't get me wrong, like when I started, I look at videos, my first set of videos versus what I do today, it's totally wildly different. And I do get a lot of these messages on Instagram from people that are just starting saying, "You're really good at presenting. I hate the sound of my voice. I don't like how I look on camera." If you want to do it this way, that is the biggest thing you need to overcome. You need to sit with a tripod with your phone facing you, and you just need to keep speaking at it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. It will get easier. It's like anything, it's like riding a bike. I learn more and more about my ability to present every time I do this job. And with practice, everything gets easier. And just having that bit more confidence around it. That it really is really very, very important, particularly in this day and age.
Do you follow the principle of done beats perfect?
No,
Interesting.
what's
So,
that?
so for me, done beats perfect is the amount of times I see agents go, "Oh, that video, I winced, I didn't say the word correctly, or I didn't look great at the end, or it wasn't my right." So I'm not going to post that. Oh, my phone's going up. Right, I'll post it tomorrow. And for me, it's like just get it out. It doesn't need to be perfect every single time. It's that consistency of getting your content out so that people know who you are. And if you wait for that perfect shot every time, you're almost getting ready to get ready to get ready.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about content, you probably need to be looking at about really around 75% UGC versus the extra sort of top up of your professional edited content. UGC is content that you can make for free for yourself. And yes, as you build your audience and you build your platform, people don't really want to see perfect. They want to see somebody they can relate to. And if you're spending too much time thinking about, oh, my hair's out of place and or the light or this or that, firstly, you're completely wasting your time. Just showing up every day on camera is enough at this point, however you do it. Because this is what we've created as brokers, as business owners. You are the face of your brand. So you have to turn up for it and you have to get over that fear because it will dissipate after time. It won't, you'll become so comfortable, you'll be giving other people pointers as to how to do it.
And how long does that take?
Oh, I mean, that's a hard question. I think age is a factor for sure. Um, I guess it depends on how much you're doing it.
I guess you don't even know because you just naturally fall into it.
Well, I think for a millennial like myself, I'm 43 soon. I did a bit of musical theatre as a kid, and I did before I became an estate agent. I actually used to sing on cruise ships.
You got a good voice then.
No, I didn't look after it, but so I've got like that performance side in my background, but if you don't have that and you're like of a certain age where you've not grown up with social media, I think that's sometimes the hardest thing. I think that's maybe the barrier for a lot of people over a certain age who are like, oh, I just can't do that because I couldn't turn up on camera every day like that. But for younger people who have grown up in a world where social media is just everything, doing TikTok dances and whatever, being on camera is very natural for them. So I think maybe that it's as I say, I think it's an age thing. I think it takes a lot longer for people of a certain age to feel comfortable with putting themselves out there like that. Maybe because you've reached an age where, judgment and fear again.
Makes sense. Okay. I'm not going to ask you my standard last question. I want to ask you a different one because this is the way this episode's gone and I've really enjoyed it. So thank you. And that is, if you had to pick 3 agents and only 3 to go and follow on socials because you're about to make the leap to almost copy, rip off and deploy, whatever you want to call it, right? Nothing's original, but you can pick 3 and only 3. They could be UK based or international. Who would they be?
So, as I say,
You don't follow, because I know you did. Sorry, you
I
did say at the start.
I do follow some. I think it's maybe because I spend so much time posting stuff to social media and having to deal with my own account
that you don't consume
that
it.
I consume it to a degree.
That's
but
a
then
great place to get to.
I have to put my phone down when I get home for my kids. So if I permanently had my face in social media, it would be a real issue for me. But I would say Tanya Baker, and very consistent. She delivers content that gives her audience what they want. I would always say about content is it has to inform or entertain. If you're not doing either one of those things, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So and audience do like consistency as well. So Tanya's excellent with what she produces. Ollie Howard, simply because of the rawness of his Instagram. He takes what he's willing to give and tell people about his business and the way he feels to a whole nother level. I don't actually think I know anybody else that does that. And I think if you're starting out, it's really important that you see that rather than the kind of selling sunset vibes.
That authenticity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I would say Sian Louise, because she's operating in a different place. So those 3 people for me operate in whole different spheres.
Yeah.
Sian Louise is operating in super prime luxury, where what she has to produce content-wise has to appeal to a very, very different style of audience. So if you are sort of cross-sectioning between the sort of Dubai, Abu Dhabi markets and wanting to sort of work in more super prime London, that's a great example of the quality that you need to produce. It's very lifestyle-led. So yeah, they would be my main 3, definitely.
Hey, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.